Everybody's got a price. Everybody's gonna pay. Everybody's Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Without the night out, you're tuning into Wrestle Talk. 657-383-1521. We'll be discussing WWE, NXT, Lucha Underground, ROH, fantasy wrestling, and we'll have some of the best damn interviews for professional and independent wrestling that you've ever heard.
And I'm Joe Lane. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts, keep your arms in the vehicle at all times. Wrestle Talk begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the ride. We got Gary J coming in from the from NWL. We got Patrick Brandmeyer coming on. What a freaking night we got. Let me go ahead and just bring in my guy. Unmuted. The man, the myth, the legend, the night out. What's going on?
Que pasa, que pasa, que pasa? Loyal members of the Wrestle Talk family, Nightmare Jones. It is Wednesday. It is the day. Yes, I can hear you, sir. I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Rene.
Joe. I don't know. I can hear Joe. He can't hear me. I don't know what the heck's going on. Once again with these shenanigans. Let me see here. What up, y'all? What up? What up, Alex? What up, Michael? Thank you guys for being here. Truly appreciate it. I hear everybody. Not really sure what's going on. But I'm going to go ahead and give it another try here. Okay. Sorry, guys. Connection issues or whatnot. It is one of the challenges of doing live radio. A lot of the podcasts that you hear, you guys probably already know.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Right, we know.
Can you hear me?
Joe, Nightmare Jones.
Unmuted.
Joe, Nightmare Jones. Nightmare Jones, do you copy? Do you copy? Joe, can you hear me, buddy?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I've been able to hear you the whole time.
Well, I have no sound whatsoever. Of course it has to happen that way.
Well, listen, I was just telling the Facebook Live followers, dude, this is one of the challenges of doing live radio. Many of the other podcasts that you hear and listen to are all pre-recorded, edited. They take all the stuff out that they don't want you to hear. But not us, man. Not here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Like Joe always says, we're not the Jericho podcast. We're not JR's podcast. We're not Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast. No, they're all very good podcasts. But there is only one Wrestle Talk podcast. And we want to thank all you guys for being here tonight. Nightmare Jones, man, I'm getting ready to drink some Budweiser 1933 Repeal Reserve. It's a very fine amber lager. I'm getting ready to pop the top right now. You can probably hear that. Here it is. There it is. And I'm wondering, man, what are you sipping on tonight?
I have something called Dos Equis.
Dos Equis.
Yes.
Dude, that is a great beer. And they do say that if you drink Dos Equis, you're quite frankly the most interesting man in the world. So, hey, you know what? Props to you, Nightmare Jones, for your Dos Equis. I'm going to go ahead and chug me a little bit of a Budweiser here tonight. But, man, before we continue going any further, man, let me take a second to welcome everybody that's tuning in live, everybody who happens to be listening to us on the replay later on in the week. We welcome you into the Wrestle Talk podcast. We are blessed and grateful to have you here on the day before Thanksgiving. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, but we've got so much business, professional wrestling business, to talk about. And Survivor Series just ended. Clash of Champions is a couple of weeks down the road. And obviously here locally, things are going insane with some of the stuff that's happened with NWL, KCXW. Obviously, Dynamo Pro is absolutely on fire. We talked to Luke Roberts last week a little bit about that. But listen, guys, this first part of the show, we want you guys to dial that number, okay? That number is 657-383-1521. Again, that's 657-383-1521. I'm actually going to do something here. I'm going to drop that phone number in the thread for you guys that are watching on the Facebook Live feed. That way, during the first 25 minutes of the show, you guys can call in. We can talk about anything that you guys want to talk about. Shout out to my boy Kyle checking us out from Green Bay, Wisconsin, home of the multi-time NFL champions, Super Bowl champions, Green Bay Packers. What's up, Kyle? Thanks for being here. Make sure I shout out. Hey, Big Mike, what's going on, man? Nice to see you, Big Mike. I think I already shouted out Alex. What's up, man? Tim, thank you for checking us out tonight. I know we were chatting a little bit off the air today and yesterday, man. It's always great to see you guys. But Joe, man, you got to tell me, bro, how was your Survivor Series weekend?
What did I do this weekend? Oh my goodness, this weekend I got some Thanksgiving things that I got going on. Like we got stuff we got to make tomorrow. But this year we decided to do it a little bit easier. We decided to kind of cheat a little bit. Like we went to Cracker Barrel and we ordered a Cracker Barrel Thanksgiving dinner. So we got turkey and we got dressing and we got green beans and mashed potatoes and hash brown casserole. All we gotta do is heat it up. Simple as that.
All right, cool, man. That sounds really good, Joe. It just sounds like you're going to save yourself a lot of work. Sounds like you're going to have a lot of time to watch football, which is always a great thing. And I'm curious, everybody that's tuning in out there who maybe happen to be listening to us live, aside from turkey, what is your favorite part, I should say, what is your favorite thing to eat on Thanksgiving besides the turkey? Because I love the turkey, but personally, I'm more of a stuffing guy myself. But I'm wondering, everybody who's checking us out, man, go ahead and let us know what you guys prefer outside of just the plain old turkey to eat during Thanksgiving dinner. Now, I'm pretty excited about the beginning of today's show, Joe, because we're going to be talking to a lot of different people, talking about all things professional wrestling, including Survivor Series. But we also have a very special guest coming on. He's a friend of mine who I've known for a couple of years since I started going out to Metro Pro Wrestling. This guy has really been doing it probably longer than I have when it comes to going to the local shows here in Kansas City. I'm getting a lot of people saying pie. Not a bad choice. This guy was going to Metro Pro shows when I first started going. When Metro ended, he carried it over into the NWL. And I don't know if he's ever tuned into this show, but I know he always treats me like a first-class citizen whenever I see him. And he's going to join us to talk about a very, very special trivia contest that he's got in the works, I believe, with NWL. So we'll get him on here in just a second. Joe, I know you're trying to link into the live broadcast. You're just going to have to play around with it because there's usually a button that says request to go live. If you see it, cool. If you don't, we'll have to work it out some other time. But on top of that, Gary J., NWL STL champion, also working at Punk Pro, also working down in Atlanta. I mean, this guy's been all over the place. And as far as I'm concerned, he's one of the baddest in the world, if you get what I'm saying. And it'll be his first time on the show. He'll join us here in about 20 minutes. And then in the second hour, man, we'll be talking to a good friend of mine, Patrick Brandmeyer, who is a huge wrestling fan. He resides in the St. Louis area, man. Anytime I go out there, I always make it a point to catch up with him. The guy is an encyclopedia of wrestling here in the Midwest, but also in general. I mean, this guy can talk lucha, New Japan. I mean, you name it, he knows it. So it'll be a lot of fun to talk to him. And I'm actually looking forward to the trivia because I know I stand no chance against Patrick if it's anything wrestling related unless it happened within the last 2 weeks. So one thing's for sure, Joe, it's going to be a damn good time. What do you think about that, man?
Absolutely. It is going to be a freaking awesome time. I cannot wait.
No doubt about it.
Patrick Brandmeyer. I met him at the Dynamo show at NatsuCon. That's where I first met Patrick. So it's going to be awesome to be able to talk to him again.
Dude, it absolutely is going to be fantastic. Well, guys, we're getting ready to get into high spots. We're going to be joined by our friend Philip. He's going to talk to us about the trivia challenge and a couple of other things. So what you're going to want to do is hang tight. But before we even go there, we have to do what we always do about this time, Joe. Tell them what that is.
Let's see here. What could that be? Just kidding. Of course, it's the Star Spangled Banner, my friend. Like we do every single time that we do this show. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, we ask that you take off your hat to honor the greatest country in the world, and that's America, damn it.
Oh, say, can you see and the rocket red flag? I'll make up for it now. For the land of the free.
Oh my
goodness. Brings a tear to my eye every single time, right?
Every single time.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to tell you one thing, man. We're going to get ready in the high spots. We're going to cue that music up for you. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, if you guys, enjoy the show, we really, really appreciate it. We consider you members of the Wrestle Talk family. And if you're not a fan of the show, well, it's pretty damn simple. You're nothing more but...
What you talking about? You ain't nothing but a jive-ass turkey.
That's right. You ain't nothing but a jive-ass turkey. Let's do it, baby. Let's hit the high spots music and get the damn show on the road.
Greetings, Earthlings. We have now taken over your radio.
Hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em high. If you hit 'em low, hit 'em low, hit 'em low.
To the hole. You ain't got no game. I'm breaking you out the frame, coming through like a train. The whole world is my...
Absolutely. Woo!
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the high spot segment. Hey, Joe, for the next about 20 minutes, man, we're going to talk all things professional wrestling, man. Anything you guys want to talk about, dial that number. What's that number again for him, Nightmare Jones?
657-383-1521. That would be 657-383-1521.
No doubt about it. All right. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, talk to us about all things professional wrestling, but more specifically about this amazing trivia challenge that he's been putting together for a while now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show for the very first time, my amigo, Philip Evans.
Hello?
What's up, Phil?
This is Paige.
Hello.
This is Philip. Rene, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Pretty good. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, dude, me and Joe, we're doing great tonight, Phil. We want to thank you for making some time to talk to us tonight, man. I know you're on fire, man. I know you're excited about this trivia challenge you got coming up, man. Quite frankly, I know you've been talking about it for a while, and it sounds like it's finally coming together, man. Why don't you drop the details for the folks here tuning in on the Wrestle Talk podcast tonight?
Well, I started coming to Metro Pro June 2nd, 2012, and ever since then I've become a big fan of the promotion, and now known as the NWL. And I always wanted to do something in the wrestling business, but I knew I wouldn't be a wrestler despite my size because I couldn't take the pain. Sorry, but in the past year, I became a big fan of movie trivia, and I thought, well, I'd like to do something like that. But what am I a big fan of, and what do I know a lot about besides film? Oh, yeah, wrestling. I thought, well, okay, try and do a wrestling trivia game. And it's been a long road trying to process things, but it's finally going to happen. Finally going to happen, Rene, and I am honored to be on your show.
Dude, no doubt about it. So tell us a little bit about how this came together, man. We got a pretty damn good relationship with the guys over at NWL. A little bit later on tonight, we're going to have Gary J., Submission Squad's very own, former Anarchy guy, working really all over the country and now currently holds the STL championship for NWL. So tell us, man, was it easy for you to approach Major Baisden, kind of present the idea? Was he open to it? Was he a little apprehensive? I mean, talk us a little bit through what's gone on over the last couple of months as you've been working to put this thing together.
Well, first off, Gary J is one tough badass, but yeah, it was pretty easy for me to actually do it because I actually just walked up to him after a show and told him I've been thinking about doing this game, and I thought he was going to shoot me down and say, no, we don't want to let fans do that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But he actually said, sounds cool, man. And then we started processing because I thought that it was going to be in the Scottish Rite Temple. But no, it's going to be at the training center, which makes more sense. And then he said, well, how do you guys do it in the ring? And I thought, what? In the where? Well, yeah. So that kind of threw me for a loop. And then once I knew that Major was cool with it, I started killing my brain cells, watching as much wrestling as I possibly can, trying to come up with what are the best questions to ask, and started watching all I could. WWE, ROH, ECW, all that stuff, TNA, all of it, and tried to do that stuff because I wanted it to be for fans and for wrestlers, for referees, and yes, even the staff. But you know, I've been wanting to do this, and then he said that he wants it to be for Fight Club guys, for Fight Club members. So, you know, so we're gonna try and do that and test it out, and hopefully it'll do well because it's been my dream to do something in the business, and you know, and now I'm doing something. It's not me wrestling, but it's something. My you know, the whole dream is starting to come into fruition, and I couldn't be more happier about that.
No, hey, listen, Phil, it definitely sounds like you're excited about it. I know we're excited about it, and that, you know, that just speaks to the NWL, man. You know, I think that they always do what they can to keep in touch, in tune with the fans. I mean, you're one of those guys that's been a Fight Club member since day one, so they should listen. to guys like you because I don't think you've missed a show yet, which is pretty awesome, man. And I got to give you credit for that. And I will tell you, I know you and I had a little bit of a beef because you were like, hey, man, you need to be a part of this trivia challenge. And I challenge you. And I was like, whoa, you obviously have never heard the show before because and Joe, you can back me up on this. I always say, dude, I am a huge fan, but I am a relatively new fan. I tell this story over and over. I watched a couple of years during the Attitude Era, back in my teens, and then just about, I can actually remember back to like when with CM Punk, who happens to be standing behind me right now, believe it or not, was beefing with The Undertaker right after Paul Bearer died, and they were doing like the urn thing with Paul Bearer's ashes. That's when I got back into it. So that was about 13. Yeah, that was about 5 years ago. And when I told you that, you're like, no way, dude. You seem like you've been a lifelong fan. In a way, I have been a fan forever, but I went many years disconnected. I didn't know much about wrestling before the Attitude Era. I mean, I know who Hogan and Warrior, and I saw, some of the early WrestleManias and stuff like that, but nowhere near you or like my partner Joe, who have basically been following it since you guys were little kids. So I suck at that. But here was my response. I said, hey, I'm not going to be able to compete with you there, but here's where I can compete with you. What if we pick based on what's happening today? For example, Survivor Series, there were 8 matches. I pick who I think is going to win those 8 matches. You pick who you think is going to win those 8 matches. I think that that's a fair compromise, and I am still willing to issue that challenge to you, Phil. If you want to do it for the Royal Rumble, you want to come out to the Wrestle Talk Podcast Watch Party, which we just had one this weekend. We had over 60 people in the building. It was insane. It was tons of fun. We had the Suplex Cyclone. Kurt Gannon in the house. We had Jay Savage in the house, who's worked for Ring of Honor. I mean, we had a bunch of fantastic people there. So that is an open invitation. And sir, if you want to pick against the Night Owl, you just name the time and place, and we can throw down and have a showdown. ¿Me entiendes? You get what I'm saying?
You mean you want to throw down with me at the Royal Rumble?
Let's do it, baby! Main event status, Poppy.
Woo!
Woo!
Wind up. You got me crazy. Woo!
Woo! Woo! Woo!
In this case, you're crazy. Joe is MTA, and I'm with Flair.
Hey, you know what that reminds me of, bro? That reminds me of Jay Lethal versus Ric Flair back in TNA when they had the woo off. You guys remember that?
2010, yes.
Dude, that was freaking amazing. So, real quick, Phil, so that we can move on to talking to Gary J here in just a few minutes, man. Just tell us a little bit about how this thing is going to happen, when it's going to take place, and what people have to do to make sure that they can make their way in there to be a part of this awesome trivia tournament.
When will it take place?
Yes, sir.
It'll take place at the training center a week from tomorrow.
Okay, so 1 week from this upcoming...
Tomorrow on Thursday.
Okay, cool. 30th. And what time does it start?
That's when it will be. Well, the boss man wants it to be around like 3. He wants it around 3, but he wants me to early to train and stuff and rehearse. But I'm gonna, be there. Way to go, man. I'm fired up. This is my big chance. I can't let this fail me. I gotta go. I gotta come ready.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, Joe, I know you had a question for Phil concerning Survivor Series, a pretty general question. Why don't you jump on in here and see if Phil, we got about 4 minutes left here in this segment. Why don't you jump on in here with a Survivor Series related question for Phil before we let him go?
Absolutely. Phil, once again, thank you for coming on to the show. And my question is, this year's Survivor Series, what was your favorite match?
I am torn between the New Day versus the Shield or My Girl Bliss versus Charlotte. Because both of those are kind of, well, my favorites. So I'm going to have to cheat and go with a tie between them. Because those were the two that I could see myself go back and rewatching more times than once. Yeah.
Hey, great question. Great question, Joe. I had one last quick question for you, Phil, before you get out of here. The NXT special.
I got one for you too.
Okay, sure. Let me get mine out of the way real quick. So the NXT special had a couple of tremendous matches. Obviously, the match between Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream was an amazing match that people are still talking about. And then the War Games match was also pretty fantastic. So it's a two-parter. Number one, and you can't ride the fence on this one, which match was better? And then my second follow-up question is, do you think that they did War Games justice by bringing it back the way that they did?
Well, as far as storytelling goes, Aleister Black versus Dream was better, but I personally like the War Games more, and I thought they did just fine. Hey, and they did have some blood in there, so I'm like, hey, they actually did it. But it was a great match. I like the War Games more.
Cool. You know what was really awesome?
Me personally.
Paul Ellering was in the first War Games match, and he ended up being a manager for this one. Pretty cool stuff. Oh,
yeah.
Phil, I know you said you had a question for us, man. What do you got?
Well, first off, I'd like to say that the first War Games was 1987, 30 years ago. And my question to you guys is, since Thanksgiving is tomorrow, what is the most anticipated food for you guys tomorrow night? What do you not wait to devour?
Every time someone says Thanksgiving, you're going to get the turkey gobble. Go ahead, Joe.
I would have to say for me is the something I have every single year is hash brown casserole. I absolutely love hash brown casserole. I can't eat enough of it, and sometimes they have to take the pan away from me because I end up eating a little bit too much of it.
Dude, I've never had hash brown casserole, dude. I'm going to have to go up to West Virginia and try some of that stuff. It sounds amazing.
Oh, it is. It's definitely, once you try some, you won't forget it.
Well, no doubt about it. Well, you know, my favorite Thanksgiving treat. Damn that turkey. Stupid interrupting turkey, shut your mouth. Yeah, you know what? I know what I'm going to do with that turkey. I'm going to throw his ass in the oven here in just a little bit. You guys are going to kind of call me weird, but my favorite thing to eat on Thanksgiving has nothing to do with Thanksgiving. It's tamales, dude. I'm Mexican, and we eat tamales on Thanksgiving. So guess what I'm going to be eating tomorrow? Tamales, bro. I'm going to be eating so many tamales, they're going to be coming out of my freaking ears. I'm so ready, bro. And I that's why I'm not starting my diet till Monday. Because, yeah, tamales. That's why.
Survive Black Friday, dude.
I'm trying, bro.
I'm that.
Please say, Rene, that this weekend you're going on a tamale diet.
Yeah.
This weekend, nothing but tamales.
I'm going on a seafood diet. You know why?
You're going to see food and you're going to eat it.
Yeah, that's right, because I'm going to seafood, I'm going to eat it.
What? You can watch us, what?
What? Yeah, that's right. All right, Phil, well, listen, man. Hey, bro, we appreciate you being on the show today, man. Don't be a stranger. The Wrestle Talk podcast, man. We're here for the fans, dude. We are here for people just like you who love professional wrestling. Let me tell you something, man. We got Gary J coming on here in just a few minutes. and I know he's getting ready to crack a beer and have a good time with us, man. Hopefully you'll do the same with us in the future, Phil. We appreciate your time tonight.
Yeah. Straight edge, dude, but thank you, man. It has been a blast.
Hey, anytime. Take it easy, brother.
Again, sometime. Okay. Bye, dude.
See ya.
See ya.
Stupid turkey. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do with that turkey here in just a few minutes, right, Joe? That's right, man. We're going to tear it up. Well, listen, guys, I am really, really excited about our upcoming guests, man. When you talk about guys that pay their dues, put in the work, don't complain, and do things the right way, man, we're definitely talking about our next guest. I had an opportunity to see him in action in Kansas City. I've had an opportunity to see him action out in St. Louis. And the truth of the matter is, man, there are just some guys that resonate. Some guys that when you see them in action, you don't forget. And, the very first NWL show was one of the times that I remember seeing Gary J. He was working under an assumed name at the time. And we have the pleasure of being joined by him here in just a few moments. So we're going to go ahead and cue that music. But we're going to throw to this first. We'll come back with some music. Gary J. So go ahead and dial us up, guys, if you want to talk to him. 657-383-1521 to talk to your current NWL STL champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Drew Doherty, and I am the co-founder and owner of Cold Meal Productions, and you are listening to the absolute best wrestling podcast there is on the internet. And if you're here, you are lucky that you found it. It is time for Wrestle Talk with Joe and Rene.
Ladies and gentlemen, hailing from a bar near you, that's right, your current NWL STL champion, Gary J.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, brother. How you doing?
What's going on? Not much, just hanging out. Ready to go out here in a bit for Thanksgiving and having a good time.
Woo! What are you drinking tonight, Gary J?
I'm probably going to start off with my favorite, the girly beers, probably a Blue Moon or a Shock Top, and then as the night goes on, I'll lose interest and probably get mixed around. I don't know.
Nice. Dude, let me tell you something. Those Shock Tops are the shiznit. I absolutely love them. Those Leinenkrugels are probably even better, and I actually just got turned on to the Blue Moons with the piece of orange inside like a month or two ago, dude, and I absolutely love them, dude. They're fantastic.
Nothing beats a big picture of draft Blue Moon with a whole bunch of orange slices in them. That chokes my goat right there.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, man, you talking about keeping it official like a referee with a golden whistle blow, bro. That's exactly what Gary J does every single time he steps on the scene. So, man, first of all, let us welcome you to the show for the very first time, bro. I mean, you've been on the scene for a long time. You've been part of the submission squad. Now you're working with NWO all over the place, man. But for some people who may have been living under the rock for the last couple of years, man, tell us a little bit about your origins, man. Where do you hail from? Where did you train? And how did you get into wrestling?
A little origin story is, actually, I'm going to rip this right off that, man. My family was killed right in front of me. I'm just kidding. I wish.
That's cool.
But basically, in 2003 is when I officially stepped foot in the ring, and I was 17 years old, and now I'm 31 years old. So obviously, I've aged very kindly. Don't tell me otherwise. But basically, I started 2003 training with Triple H, Jordan Lacey, Adam Raw, and Nick Tyson. And then I started training with Evan Jalisco. I met the first day of training, who's also a member of Submission Squad. And me and Matt Jackson, or as you guys might know, Pierre Abernathy, have been friends since high school.
No doubt.
We started training together, and that's a little origin story about how the Submission Squad kind of started. At first, we hated Evan. Evan hated us. He thought we were the clique. And then we ended up just like being like brothers, ironically. But I can go on for days about that whole story. I'm sure we have a very small amount of time.
Oh, dude. Well, I'll tell you what. I first became familiar with you guys upon my first visit to Metro Pro Wrestling. And my buddy Scott Kessler, and this is before I even started going, he told me that there was a time where you were going there regularly with Pierre and Evan, and they were giving you like, you look like a bum chant or something like that, but you were like super over. But by the time I made it there, it was like your last appearance or second to last appearance there at Metro, man. We know that Metro Pro is no longer in existence. It's now been absorbed by NWL. But do you have any recollection or any memories of being at Metro Pro Wrestling, man, and maybe kind of how you felt about that experience?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Ironically, the Commission Squad started there, but they wanted to change and tweak their characters a little bit, so they were the Commission. They were pretty much started off as heels, and they were the Athletic Commission trying to shoot the show down. And it got so over, they ended up being baby faces, and then they find this homeless grip for Gary J, so a little tweak to the character there. And then that's right around when your buddy probably saw me. That's why he said something about the homeless thing.
Right.
And then, like, the last couple of shows I was there, I was, in full gear, and I was Gary J. Oh, I loved it. Like, Chris Goff did a great job with Metro Pro, and I think he's doing great things with the NWL right now.
Dude, no doubt about it. And I will ask you this question, Joe. I know you're going to jump in here in just a moment. So the NWL thing, I think has been very unique to this area. Traditionally, you got your Glories, you got your Dynamos, you got your MWAs and your Metros, but NWL has done something a little bit different, I think. And what they've done in a lot of ways, a lot of people see this as a negative. They've kind of cherry picked from all those promotions and kind of found the best of the bunch. And kind of brought them all together and merged it. I know that at least initially people were a little apprehensive, especially on the St. Louis side, because there are so many established promotions. Like guys such as yourself, and I know you hailed originally from Anarchy, which was owned and run by Matt Jackson. What was your feeling initially? I mean, did you feel like they were kind of treading on your territory? Were you open to it? Were you excited? I mean, I'm kind of curious from a worker's perspective. Unlike us fans, we don't get to see everything from the inside out. How did you feel when that transition started to happen?
Ironically, I got word that the NWL was going to happen probably 6-7 months before it even started.
Okay.
And I think it's coming up on its year anniversary, January, February. Basically, Major Basin was looking to get into professional wrestling, and he was looking for people to run the show. Like, he was pretty much interviewing people and promoters, and obviously he absorbed Chris Goff in Metro, and then he wasn't sure what he was going to do in St. Louis, but he wanted to run in St. Louis. And that's where Matt Jackson and St. Louis Anarchy kind of come into play. It's a little bittersweet because obviously St. Louis Anarchy was a very big part of, professional wrestling in St. Louis. I mean, ironically, he was in Illinois, but people still consider it like the St. Louis area.
Right.
But, I mean, St. Louis Anarchy has a very special place in my heart because that's a place that, I really grew. And I really found out who Gary J was, and I believe the fans pretty much watched me grow from some kid to, a grown-ass man, per se.
For real.
And, it's really cool to think about all the history that's in that vault in the building that Glory and PWCS runs in, because in my opinion, no matter who runs there or how many years pass, that's pretty much the building that Anarchy built, because I was a very large part of that, and I know everything that happened behind the scenes, the triumph, the tribulation, the heartache, everything that went into those Anarchy shows was, it was a big deal because it was a very, very shoestring budget. And the people running it, they didn't have money. All they wanted to do was create a very unique product and pretty much brand itself. And therefore, by branding itself, it became such this cult following. Almost I don't want to even say it was close to almost a very small version of a ECW kind of following.
Dude, and you know what? I think you hit the nail on the head because even even me, you know, being in Kansas City, and I know we've kind of seen each other and maybe said hello to each other in passing. The Wrestle Talk podcast is not really all that different from what St. Louis Anarchy was. I mean, it started with Joe and a friend just talking trash and having fun, and then they say, hey, man, we should just kind of do something for ourselves, give ourselves a platform. I think that's what Matt and the guys did, and then, you know, it evolved into something that became part of the St. Louis / Southern Illinois scene that I think have left a dent in the scene for many, many years to come. And, you know, personally, as much as I love the NWL and Glory, I think that had it not been for St. Louis Anarchy, neither of those promotions would be what they are today. And that's not to discredit Major Basin or Big Mike or anybody else, but I think you guys and Matt kind of helped set the groundwork for that type of wrestling. And when I say that, I mean like some edgy shit, you know what I mean? Like what you guys were doing over there wasn't what everybody else was doing, you know what I mean? And now go ahead, jump on in, because I want to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, like absolutely. Like, I feel that we laid the groundwork for other places to succeed and flourish and be great. And, like, it's kind of cool knowing I was a big part of that. And to not to discredit, obviously, what the NWL is doing or the great things that Big Mike and Glory are doing, because, you know, he's taking a whole different step in a different way. But, you know, the groundwork and the foundation was laid with Anarchy, I believe. So you're completely correct.
Hey, no doubt. Well, let me ask you this, Joe, and then I'll throw it to you. So, you know, because of what you guys did, now we are spoiled as fans. I mean, you're talking about Glory Pro coming up to its 1 year anniversary. In 1 year, Matt Riddle, geez Louise, I'm getting caught up in my words here. Pentagon Jr., Phoenix, and then you guys got Naito coming in. So I'm guessing because you're still a part of that promotion in Glory, you got to feel like a bit of a kid in a candy store getting the opportunity to share a locker room, not only with those guys, but I mean, Big Mike. I mean, the guy runs the whole thing. So for a guy who's been in the business over 10 years, you know, I always hear from wrestlers, hey, you never stop learning. You never stop learning. I'm always learning. I'm always getting better. You know, it's an ongoing education process. I'm curious, man, like, even though you're a seasoned vet, it's still got to be kind of freaking cool to know you're sitting in the same locker room with those guys, right? I mean, what is that experience like? Do you ever kind of like, you know, feel like a little kid in a candy store at all when you're sharing a locker room with guys of that caliber?
I honestly don't look at it like that. I feel, you know, we're all in the same locker room. We all belong here. It's kind of one of those things where it's more like if I have the opportunity, I'll pick their brains or talk to them at length about certain things in the business.
Okay.
But I never really, like, look at it like, oh, like, this is insane. Like, you know, I'm going to mark out or be shy. Like, I've only marked out a few times, like, actually in the business in the locker room people, but nothing at Glory so far. Like, everybody that he brings in, from international stars to guys that are huge on the scene in the U.S., is, like, insane. It's great. It's all connections. It's all how you speak and talk to them and, like, get to know them and then, like, ask them to watch their stuff and just, you know, make connections. That's the biggest thing.
No doubt, man. Well, either way, I'm sure it's got to be a huge honor, man, to be able to share the locker room with the kind of guys that you get to work in and week out. So, Joe, why don't you jump on in here? Because, you know, I've got a few more questions, but I want to take up all the time, man. I know you're a Gary J fan. I know you got a chance to see him in action when you were in town a couple of months ago, man. Why don't you jump on in here with what you got on tonight?
Absolutely. One of my first questions I wanted to ask you is, I was looking up some information on you. I saw that you wrestled a guy that I've been following in Combat Zone Wrestling. You wrestled a guy by the name of Joey Janela. What was it like to wrestle him?
It was awesome. It was actually at one of the Beyond Wrestling tapings did in Providence before one of the big shows, and I didn't know who he was at the time, and I rode down with Ricochet and Paige and Davey Vega, and working Joe. And this is like right before Joey got really big on the scene. Like, he'd been doing it for years and years and years as well, but this is right before he really got big and exploded. So it was awesome. It's definitely another match. I think if it would happen again, a lot more eyes would be on it, or it would be on a bigger stage. Not saying that'd be on one of the big stage, but I feel if it was on one of their live shows at Vet, or like, you know, a CZW show, or you put us on like a style battle, or you put us on an Evolve show, we definitely feel it.
Absolutely. My next question is, you trained under quite a few people, Adam Raw, Jordan Lacey, Nick Tyson, and Dingo. What was it like training under those people?
It was interesting because Jordan Lacey is the initial person that first started training me, and he was more just a local guy, really good dude, and he was actually a big reason why St. Louis Anarchy, got where it was, because he had a lot to do backstage as well. But my first day of training was with him and his brother, who I can't remember his name. He's not very relevant to the story. But long story short is he trained us for a couple months, and then he was pretty much just like, this is all I know, because at that point he'd only been in wrestling for a couple of years. And then we kind of met Adam Raw and Nick Tyson, and Adam Raw is the reason I am, so vicious and brutal or intense at times, because we would just spend hours of training and don't take this in the wrong way, but he would spend hours just beating the shit out of me.
Hey, if it's the truth, we can't take it the wrong way, bro.
Yeah, by all means, I credit Adam Raw to a lot. The reason why I am, so intense and just certain things. So I got to step in the ring with him a couple more times before he hung him up. So that was always cool. Nick Tyson was insane. He not a lot of people know about him, but I believe if he would have got his head out of his ass, he would have been signed by New Japan, Ring of Honor, or hell, he could have been at this point in WWE, because he was that good. He's actually wrestled Alex Shelley and some other names in 2000, and I can't remember the date now, but 2000. And Alex Shelley actually told him he can get him booked anywhere on the world or in the U.S. He just didn't take advantage of it. It's funny because I don't even talk to Nick Tyson anymore.
Absolutely. And my last question, before I throw it back to Rene, was what is it like to be the Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment Tag Team Champion?
It's awesome. Considering right now I don't have a physical belt because someone stole me and Evan Driscoll's belt, but I guess we have the title, so we're still the champs. But it's awesome considering that Evan really doesn't do that much traveling anymore because he's a lot going on in his life, and he'd rather just pick certain things. So for me and him to tag up one more time as the last run of the Submission Squad's been awesome. So I'm really looking forward to where it goes. Dude,
and you know what? I know that traveling is one of those things that you've always enjoyed doing, making your way around the country. I mean, I could bore everyone to death by going through the list of promotions that you've worked at. So I'll cherry pick a couple of here. Shikara, Full Impact Pro, Dragon Gate. I mean, when you talk about indie wrestling, you've pretty much done it all. But let me just pick one in particular because I'm a big fan of this promotion. They're a part of the WWN network, and that's FIP. And my boys, our boys, the Hooligans, who've been on the show a couple of times, I'm sure you're familiar with those guys, man. Is there something different about working up at FIP? Because I talked to a couple of guys from there, and they always say, man, we love working up here because we can just do us. We don't have to worry about, this or that or, that. I mean, FIP just seems to be one of those promotions that all they really care about is putting on a good show. And if they hurt a couple of people's feelings along the way, they don't really seem to give a damn. So I'm curious, man, did you kind of get that feeling? Did you enjoy working up at FIP as much as I imagine you did?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit since I've been there, but when I was there with the squad and had, a run up there, it was always good. It really always felt like home. FIP was another place that was the first place to give myself and the Submission Squad an opportunity. Considering they're in Florida and we're in St. Louis, it's kind of a risk. But we're going to book this car up from St. Louis and hope they don't shit the bed. And it's kind of one of those things where, they gave us the opportunity and, I took the ball and ran with it.
Dude, absolutely. I'm sure it was a great opportunity for you. So let me switch gears here with the few minutes we have left. So you've been all over the place. You've worked tons and tons of shows. Have you ever had a negative experience, maybe with fans or somebody in the ring? Not that you need to name any names, but I imagine as you do these shows week after week after week, there's got to be good days and there's got to be bad days. Just like guys like me, doing a blue collar type job. Can you reference to anything that maybe sticks out in your mind about maybe a particular group of fans or maybe something unfortunate that happened to you on a trip? From here to there, because I'm sure along the way you've run into a couple of speed bumps, just like we all do in life, right?
Oh yeah, totally. When it comes to the fans, obviously people have their opinions on, what they do or say. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, as long as they're not physically touching a wrestler, they pay their money, they can do what they want. They can have their opinions. They're entitled to them. That's great. But when it comes to the biggest, the biggest negative I see, and it doesn't really happen to me much anymore because I kind of pick and choose where I go. It's just going places where guys don't take this as a legit job. It's more just like this is kind of like a beer league softball kind of thing. And to me, this is a job. This is what I do. I make money doing it. I understand you like to have fun and do your favorite Undertaker move and wear your favorite Undertaker shirt to the ring, but that's not what I'm about. I'm about creating Gary J, and I'm about getting the Gary J movement out there, not going in there and bullshitting around. Therefore, those fans see those people just bullshitting around and playing, and they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to come back and spend money on the show because it's a waste of time. And then they see another wrestling flyer that might be a great show, but they remember that one time we went, it was garbage? So to me, I understand you have your 40 milers is kind of a term.
Right.
And that's great and grand, but at the same time, you guys have 40 milers that I've been wrestling 25 years. Well, you wrestle once a month, bro. You've never done shit. So don't come to me and tell me how I need to work or I need to, do things out there because I wrestle 3 to 4 times a weekend. I've been wrestling 15 years, and over the last, let's say, 5 years, I've been hit really hard. So who are you to come up to me because you're the Booker's brother, you're the champion, and you think you're a big deal. When you wrestle once a month and you know nothing, you've done shit. So, my biggest thing, pet peeve-wise, after this long rant, is just, guys that think they, owed or deserve things when wrestling owes you nothing. You've done nothing. You've drawn no money, and you wrestle in front of friends and family every week. And, at the end of the day, you work at Kmart.
No, well, hey, you know what? That's awesome that you say that because so many guys will come on and we like to keep it positive. We're that kind of podcast. I mean, we're not here to run down, the product that or the sport that we claim to love, and then we spend 2 hours talking about how much this sucks and that sucks. But I appreciate the fact that you're willing to keep it real because I'm sure it's not all peaches and cream out there. I mean, I know here recently you captured the NWL St. Louis Championship, and you had a hell of a match against a guy that probably outweighed you by 100 pounds. So, I can only imagine some of the things that you run into on your way to becoming the guy that you are today, which leads me, I guess, to my final question, Gary. So, again, you did capture the NWL STL Championship. You are now the St. Louis champion, and you fought, again, a guy that probably outweighed you by 100 pounds. Man, tell us a little bit about that, and I imagine it's a tremendous honor for you to be carrying that championship, correct?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And if you've done your history, I was St. Louis Anarchy champion for 800-something days. I don't know the exact number. Your next guest, Pat, you're right. So, being the St. Louis Anarchy champion, I was given the opportunity and the ball in Anarchy to run with it and kind of see what we could do with things. And now that NWL is its own whole new thing and a whole new, organization, it's really cool being that guy again. And, pressure's insane, but at the same time, I feed off pressure and I love it. And an ironic thing is, I had that match on a Sunday against Maverick, and it ended up being like a street fight, I beat him. It doesn't matter how big and bad he is, I'm Gary J.
Damn right.
I just got that night at 6:30 because I was in New Jersey the night before wrestling, and I was on the road for 3 days beforehand. So,
holy shit.
I pretty much went to that fight with no sleep.
And that speaks to your talent, man. You came out on top, bro. So, I mean, shit, imagine if you'd been 100%, bro. That would have been freaking amazing. But listen, we want to congratulate you on that, and tell you how much we appreciate all the hard work that you put in, man, because as fans, it may be $15, it may be $20. Some of us like to sit on the front row, so we may pay $25. And when we go there, bro, I mean, we know we're not at the WWE or Ring of Honor in most cases, but I mean, we want to make sure that we feel like we're getting our money's worth. And I think that's something that's important to you because I'm sure at some point you were a fan and you paid to get into a wrestling show. And whoever it was that you saw when you were young, they convinced you, man. And that's probably part of the reason that you ended up being in this crazy ass business known as professional wrestling. So I think everyone who's listening here tonight needs to heed the words of Gary J. If you're a worker, you need to understand you may be the first wrestler that somebody ever sees. And based on what they see, they may never want to or feel the desire to continue to be a fan of professional wrestling. Because, like you said, Gary, they may have gone to that show and said, hey, man, that kind of sucked. I'm not forking over $15 and paying $6 a beer to go see another show like that. It sucked the first time that I went. So credit to you for saying that, because I think people lose sight of the fact that, you know, every time that they step in the ring, they're not only there for themselves, but, you know, they may be, you know, stepping in the ring in front of a bunch of people that have never been to a show before. So I think that speaks volumes as far as the way that you look at the responsibility you have in carrying that torch, not only for yourself, but also for pro wrestling in the Midwest, and so on and so forth. So honestly, man, I guess what I can say is thank you for that, man. I appreciate that perspective that you have. It's important to me as a fan, you know what I mean?
No problem. Oh, absolutely. And, like, at the end of the day, we're working for the paying customer. That's you guys. Like, I don't know for myself or else guys. If that involves stories or spots or, you know, whatever happens in the ring. Like, at the end of the day, we're there to entertain you guys. If you don't get your money's worth, you're not going to come back. And then I didn't do my job. At the end of the day, it's full contact entertainment, or as Vince used to say, sports entertainment.
Damn right. All right, one last question before we get into the shoot and shout segment. Gary J, how happy are you to be rid of the Jay Lutz gimmick?
It's plenty of the Jay Lutz gimmick I actually was having fun with, and things just went another direction. But, like, at the end of the day, obviously, I'm a lot more comfortable with Gary J. I was happy to try the Jay Lutz thing, just considering it was something new, and I think as a performer, you should be well-rounded in everything you do.
Right.
So if you're given an opportunity, challenge, you know, I tried it, and, like, I didn't think it was a bad thing. I just think it was going to take a little more time for that character to evolve more. And at the end of the day, like, where can you really go with a character that is an alcoholic? Like, he stops drinking, he starts drinking again, and the story kind of gets old. But
well, that's what I was gonna say, bro. If I ever got into wrestling, which I don't think I have the pain threshold to do it, but dude, you had the sweetest gimmick in all of wrestling. You got to go down to the ring drinking beers every single time. So I'm just like, man, isn't that the coolest freaking gimmick of all time? Well, listen, Gary, we got one last bit of business to handle with you, man, before you get out of here. Usually the last couple of minutes of the first hour, we do a segment called Shoot and Shout. We usually have a lot of fun with it, man. We had Savio Vega, Ted DiBiase, Paul Orndorff, Tully Blanchard. I mean, we've had tons of guys do it with us, man. And basically, we all get 30 to 45 seconds to just rant about anything. Doesn't even have to be related to wrestling. Usually we have a lot of fun with it, man, and we hope you'll join us for it. Are you cool with that?
oh, absolutely. I got someone. It'll blow your mind, too.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Intern Timmy, hit the music, baby. Let's get into Shoot and Shout tonight.
It's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify. Then someone's head off. No human contact.
All right, Gary J, man, we're going to save the best for last. So, Nightmare Jones, you take it away, my friend.
Oh my goodness, what do I have that gets on my nerves? Last minute shoppers for Thanksgiving. You talk about you go into any store nowadays. You go into any store today, and you're going to be running into people left and right. Everybody's getting all of their stuff the day before Thanksgiving, and it's like, why don't you just do this a couple of days before and you already have everything, and then you won't have to go out, and then you won't be in my way. Because if you get in my way, then I'm going to get angry, and then somebody's going to end up getting a rock bottom in the middle of a supermarket.
I dig that one, Joe, man. You know what? My Shoot and Shout tonight is not wrestling related either, man. I'm driving down the highway, man. You know, I'm looking left, I'm looking right. You know, I'm trying to get to my destination, man. I look back over to my left. Man, some lady, bro, sucking on a freaking Virginia Slim with 3 kids sitting in the back seat. Bro, listen, I like to smoke a cigar. I like to smoke a cigarette. I like to smoke, you know, whatever it is occasionally. Bro, you don't do that shit around the kids, man. Wait till your dumb ass gets out of the car. Smoke as many cigarettes as you want to. I don't give a flying you know what. I don't give a damn, but give those kids an opportunity to have some healthy lungs when they grow up. I mean, goddamn it. What the hell do I got to do to knock some sense into some damn people? Those kids it's not those kids' fault that your ass can't help yourself and suck down a pack of Newports every 15 minutes, man. Cut that shit out. Those kids deserve an opportunity to be healthy when they grow up, man. Act like you got some damn sense. That's my Shoot and Shout. Gary J, close it out, man.
Now, this is going to be really random, but I am a very long, avid fan of Grey's Anatomy, and I've seen every season about 15 times. And if you watch any of Grey's Anatomy, which most, it's pretty much a whole bunch of sex in the hospital and people die. I love it. The storylines are great, and yes, I'm a grown 31-year-old man, and I'll cry watching the show. I've noted whenever they write people off the show, like, they just don't find stuff for them to do. They kill them. I'm sick of the writers killing these people. Like, I'm attached to these fucking people. Like, stop killing them. At the end of the day, I'm not going to stop watching it, but I will still bitch about it, just like everybody else bitches about everything in life. So if you do me a favor, if you listen or watch Grey's Anatomy, or if the writers for some reason listen to this, find a different way to write people off the show. Stop killing them.
Tweet those bastards.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, your NWL STL champion, first time guest here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, Gary J. Gary, a pleasure and an honor to have you on, man. One last thing, bro. Tell people how they can keep up with you on social media, man.
If you want to hit me up through emails, just email me at barnowl18@aol.com. If you're on Twitter, it's at StiffRoboGinger. And then if you want to hit me up on Facebook, just look up Gary J. Search bar. And if you're looking for a cool dude that has a great attitude, just hit me up. I love to fight, and I will bring friends.
A great dude with a great ass. That's right. And you said you have an AOL email. Is that what you said, Gary?
Yeah, absolutely. Barnowl18.
No! Dude, we got to get you a Gmail. All right, Gary, thanks for being on the show tonight, man. Please don't be a stranger. We appreciate you, man, and you are now officially a member of the Wrestle Talk family, man. Nothing but love and spread to you, hermano. You take it easy and be safe on the road, all right?
Absolutely. You guys have a great night. Tell Patrick I said hi.
You got it, buddy. Peace. Joe, Gary J is the freaking man, dude. I'm telling you, I've seen this guy wrestle probably half a dozen times, a couple of times, mostly in St. Louis, but a few times here in Kansas City, dude. Hardworking dude, very unassuming. And then when you approach him, one of the most kind-hearted and open guy. I mean, he'll take pictures with you, he'll take pictures with the kids, sign autographs. I mean, that's the kind of guy that if I take my kid to a show, I make it a point to take my kid up to Gary J because I know he's a true professional, dude. And then when the bell rings, Joe, I mean, he took on Maverick, bro. This dude looks like he's chiseled out of stone. Gary J, not the biggest guy in the whole wide world, dude, took the fight to the big man, and that's why he was crowned the NWLCL champion, dude. So if you haven't done your homework, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you look up my man on Twitter, Stiff Robo Ginger. That's right, I said it. Stiff Robo Ginger on Twitter. This man is hilarious. He's super cool. And he's part of the Submission Squad, a.k.a. The Commission! If you didn't already have enough reasons to love this dude, just remember he has an AOL email, so he's a damn good guy for that. Go! Nightmare Jones, I know we got a break song we got to play, man. I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I've been drinking too much tonight, so I got to take a piss. Hit the music, baby. We'll be back in 2 minutes with the FWWC, the world's greatest fantasy wrestling group. Adios!
Rene, I'm signed one underneath Joe Jones, so see if you can add me to the Facebook Live thing. So, let's see.
wrestling fans. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat talking at you, and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are back. What a freaking first hour. I'm still trying to get this live feed freaking thing worked out so I can join Rene in the live feeds, and I don't know, it's just not working out. So maybe next week we can figure it out. I've tried logging in under a new name, and I still don't see a button or anything. But anyways, moving on that, it is now time for the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter segment. Rene, are you with us?
Bro, I am here, and you know what? I'm looking at my Facebook live feed, and last time there was a little thing to like invite people to be a part of the broadcast. I don't know what the hell's going on, but we're going to figure it out, Joe, because I think it'd be really cool to have us both on the screen at the same time, dude. It would be very cool.
Just look for the name Joe Jones. From what I heard on Facebook, if you swipe all the way left to where you see the live viewers, that's how you invite somebody.
Well, I'm
anyways,
I'm swiping.
You have to do it because you're the one that set it up. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter segment. This is going to be freaking awesome.
November 29th. Mark it down on your calendars because Curtis Wild will be coming to Wrestle Talk with Joe and Rene. You see, they don't want to promote me, and I don't care if they want to do it or not. I'm going to be there. I'm going to call in, and they're going to see a next level performer. They're going to know exactly what each player looks like. They're going to take star power coming through a telephone with the Lionel Lou, the Wolf of West County, and the Sparks of Forest Park doing what he does best, making sure that preaching exactly what it's like to step on through to the wild side.
What in the hell? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that look, we've had the volatile Curtis Wild on the show before. He tried to take over once before, and now he's doing it again? Joe, I am so upset by this, man. I can't even put it into words, man.
I have no idea. I don't know what Intone Timmy is doing. All I know is I was ready to go into this fantasy wrestling segment, and we get interrupted by a promo for Curtis Wild.
Wow. Well, you know what? I really don't appreciate that, Nightmare Jones. But I do have you, well, kind of half of your face. There you are. There's the rest of you. I do have you here live on the screen for the very first time ever. I got some words for Herb Simmons. He's got to get his people under control, Nightmare Jones, because let me tell you something. I'm not a fan of people taking over the show. I got a big problem with that.
Absolutely.
Now you're silent. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay. Okay, I think we got you, Joe. Wow, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. We got Nightmare Jones on the show. That is so cool, man. I'm digging that, man. There we go. Yeah, just turn it. There we go. All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the world's greatest fantasy wrestling group. That's right, the FWWC is in the house. The phone lines are absolutely out of control right now. And let's go ahead and start off by bringing on our brand new FWWC Intercontinental Champion. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, from the Steampunk Collective, Tank joins the show tonight.
What's going on?
What's going on, gentlemen? How y'all doing tonight?
Woo!
We're doing good, sir. We're doing good. I cannot complain.
That's good. Glad to hear. Hey, Joe, I just want to tell you what I agree with you. I do not like to shop for the very last minute.
Right? It's frustrating.
Doesn't make any damn sense, I'll tell you that much.
I agree.
Dude, I couldn't agree any more, Tank, man. But listen, as much as I agree with you, man, I am even more proud of you, sir. You captured the Intercontinental Champion from a very, very good champion, man. I'm talking about the Battle Cat. Tell me how you feel, man. You got the strap over your shoulder. I know you're feeling really proud right now, man. So tell me, how does it feel to capture your first ever main roster title?
Oh my gosh, dude! It feels amazing. Last night, I slept with the title. That's how, dude. Words cannot express how much I feel right now. It's remarkable. I told him. Keep an eye on me. What he do? He took his eyes off of me. And what did I do? I pinned him. He feels what it feels like now.
Hey, no doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. Joe, I shot you a message. Check your messenger. But listen, Tank, man, I'm really, really proud of you. There was a time where myself as a member of the board of directors and you, we didn't necessarily see eye to eye on some things. You weren't really happy with the opportunities you were getting, and I felt like you weren't really going about your business the right way. But I will say this, man, at least over the last couple of months, sir, you have totally turned it around. You are now the proud holder of the Intercontinental Championship, which in our group, in the FWWC, also dubs as a Money in the Bank, which gives you the opportunity to cash in for the heavyweight championship. Now, I know that's probably not something that's right at the top of your mind, but the new #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship, Theory, made it pretty clear that it would be your best course of action to turn that thing in back to us for that opportunity for the heavyweight championship, because if you decide to keep it, my friend, you're going to lose it. And those are not my words. Those are words of the former heavyweight champion and ECW champion, a man that you know very well, Nightmare Jones, as a former ECW, and I'm talking about none other than the poet, Theory Foster.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything that Theory has said. It's kind of how do you say, you gotta listen to what he says, but then again, you do what you want to do. Don't just do what he tells you to do. You gotta do what you want to do.
Oh, of course I want to do what I want to do. And as of right now, at this moment, yes, I would love to be the FWWC heavyweight champion, but that's not at my top of the list. I'm going to defend my title against Theory as of right now.
All right. Well, hey, Tank, you know what? Again, we want to congratulate you, man. You fought your way to the top. You definitely earned the opportunity, man. But you're not the only champion we have on the line tonight, so we're going to go ahead and jump to our next caller. But before we do, man, do you have a message for anybody, whether it be the FWWC, your brothers in the collective, La Familia, Theory, your past opponents? I mean, this is your opportunity, man, to stand on your soapbox. Basically, you're standing on top of the Intercontinental Championship mountain. So really, if you wanted to do anything or say anything, this would probably be your best opportunity. So, sir, the floor is yours.
Listen, Theory, like I said before, we've gone rounds before. I'm going to bring my A game. You better be bringing your A game. Now, to Battle Cat and El Luchador, please listen to what I said last night in my promo. Bring charisma. Don't sit in a car. Don't walk downtown. Show charisma. Show me that you want a shot against me this upcoming Monday. That's all I have to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Intercontinental Champion for the FWWC, Tank. Now, Nightmare Jones, before we go to the next caller, I know Tank was a guy that you helped recruit into the FWWC, man. I know he's a member of the hated Steampunk Collective, you being a La Familia member.
Yeah.
But if we could put that to the side for just a minute, man, how proud are you of Tank for capturing the Intercontinental Championship?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Rene, he is this is the first singles title he's ever had, and that is the Intercontinental Championship. And that's something that I haven't even been able to do. That's the championship that has always eluded me. I've tried multiple times, and his first chance for that title, and he wins. So, you got to give up for the guy, I mean, what can you say?
No doubt about it. Well, listen, there's going to be plenty to say about the next caller because this is the man who just lost the Intercontinental Championship. I'm talking about none other. And by the way, before I even go on, shout out to the Buffet Club. Those are my boys. Shout out to Joe. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Dan. Shout out to Tomas. Shout out to James. Those are the homies. Much love to the Buffet Club. And by the way, I already kind of came up with our finger thing. We're going to go like this, but instead of doing too sweet, we're going to go like this, but then eat it. Like we're eating a hamburger, right? Because we're the Buffet Club.
I do like a buffet. That is true. I do like a buffet.
Joe, you want to be in the Buffet Club too?
Well, you said Joe. I thought you were talking about me.
Well,
how are you going to have a food club and not invite Nightmare Jones? I mean,
I was actually talking about my boy Joe Seifkis, but Joe, if you want to be in the Buffet Club, man, we actually got shirts coming out. I'll talk to you about that, man. $13 any size. Bro, we're going to have Buffet Club shirts popping. And shout out to Jay Savage for this incredible I like your T-shirt too, Joe. I never heard of the guy who you're wearing. But, yeah, man, this is Jay Savage. I don't know whose shirt that is that you're wearing. I never heard of the guy before. But it's a nice shirt nonetheless.
It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. I know you know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is.
Stone Cold Steve. Not quite ringing a bell. But, hey, listen, we're going to move on to our next caller. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in our former two-time United States champion, former two-time Intercontinental champion, and member of, and I don't even know if this is still true or not because I'm a little confused about the whole thing, the Misfits, ladies and gentlemen, the Battle Cat.
I thought it was 3-time Intercontinental champion, but you know what? That don't even matter. How y'all doing tonight?
What's up, big man? How you doing tonight?
I'm all right. Now, you see, I'm proud of Tank because he won the championship from a great competitor such as myself. Am I upset that I lost the title? Yeah, of course I'll be. But I'm not mad because I brought my A game, which I do every time I step in the ring. So whether I win or I lose, I have no reason to be mad about anything because eventually I'll get my hands on the title again. It's just a matter of time before that happens. But as far as you talking about the promo and the card thing, well, we tell Tank to stay out of his backyard when he does his shit. That was the words I got for him.
Oh, damn.
Because I'm coming for him.
Dang.
I'm coming for him one way or another. So Tank, he just marked himself. And as far as the Saint goes, the shit that he pulled at Survivor Series, yeah, I owe him an ass whooping too. And he better pray to God that the head admin does not pick me because the Saint does not want to see me right now.
Well, you know what, Battle Cat, you kind of stole a little bit of my thunder there, man. The head admin reserves the right to basically name anybody he wants as the new #1 contender for the Hardcore Championship. You've not been the Hardcore Champion before, but it sounds like you're interested in it, man. So if you were granted that opportunity, man, how likely do you think it would be that you would capture the Hardcore Championship if you got the opportunity to face the Saint?
816-226, you can be live on the Wrestle Talk podcast.
1,000%?
1,000. That means perfect time.
Awesome. We'll get you on. Thank you.
Perfect times 10. Okay, well, listen, man. I know Survivor Series was not your weekend, but we're coming up to Clash of Champions.
I'm still proud, even though I lost. I'm still proud because, like I said, I go out there and I bring my A game every time. Some nights just aren't yours, and Survivor Series just wasn't mine. You know.
No,
It
I totally understand, Battle Cat. Well, listen.
And as far as the Saint goes, yeah, he won the match, but as I'm telling him over and over again, he did not defeat me. He defeated Capel. He pinned Capel 1, 2, 3. I just happened to be in the match and lose. The Saint did not beat me. So, and just in case he didn't hear that before, and if he's listening, he can hear it again right now. He did not beat me. He beat Capel.
He beat Capel. All right, well, Battle Cat, obviously you're not a man that needs a whole lot of inspiring to step in the ring and bring the fight. So we're looking forward to see what happens with you in the coming weeks. I'm curious, are you healed up enough and are you ready to fight for next week's Raw Challenge?
I'm always ready. I am always ready.
And is there anyone in particular that you would like to face?
Well, like I want to, I really do. But that'll happen in due time, I'm sure. So I'm not rushing that one. I want to get my hands on Tank. That'll happen in due time. I'm not rushing it. Then it happens, I'm ready. But I'm ready for anybody, man. I don't pick favorites. I'm ready for anybody.
All right. Well, Battle Cat, we appreciate you coming on the show tonight, man. Truly an honor, man, to have had you on the show tonight. We know you're a tough competitor and a guy that never backs down to a fight. And, hey, listen, if you want to fight, brother, all you got to do is issue a challenge. The person accepts, and you know the BOD's always got pen in hand to make that thing happen, man. So you just let us know what you want to do. And in the words of well, let me just do this because I think this will probably be the best way to do it. Hold on a second for me, Battle Cat. I got something for you. Here it is.
It's time to do whatever the hell you want. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. Appreciate your time, Battle Cat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Peace. That's right. That's my man, the Battle Cat, man. Fear the streets and fear the jungle. Man's always ready to throw down.
Absolutely.
Vladimir Jones, before we throw to our next caller, we got a couple of minutes left here. Tank is the Intercontinental Champion, a really, really big deal. But the Saint screwing over Team FWWC, I got to know, as a member of La Familia, man, I know you're laughing, having a good old time. Did you know this was going to happen as the captain of Team La Familia?
Obviously, I knew that this was going to happen. I mean, you know, this was the plan all the way from the beginning. All the way from the beginning, I knew that Team FWWC was going to pick up the Saints. So I knew at that moment that was the perfect opportunity for me to screw over Team FWWC. And that's exactly what I did. Now, if you listen to the FWWC tonight on Monday, you saw that Richard Priest was a little bit upset at me because I didn't pick him for Team La Familia. But let's stop and take a look at this real quick before we bring on our next caller. For months, Richard Priest made fun of me. He made jokes. He made snide comments. Every person that was in Team FWWC respected Nightmare Jones. Former tag team partner Marcus Mayhem respects me. The Heel Deal respects me. The Julius Cairo respects me. The Saint respects me. The only person that wouldn't have respected me was Richard Priest. So why would I put somebody that has constantly made fun of me, has constantly made comments, has no respect for me? Why would I put him on my team?
Well, you know what, Nightmare Jones, and I just noticed here, it looks like you were set up as a screener for the better part of that segment. But I got you all squared away now. But basically your message is you don't feel like you owe Richard Priest an apology because he really didn't even have any respect for you and didn't have any common courtesy to treat you like a brother. So you left him on the team. He's upset about it. But my question is, do you think you would have had a better chance to win had you had Richard Priest on the team? Because you didn't win. The collective won.
The collective won, and I don't think that even if we had Richard Priest on our team, that we would have done any better than what we did. Because, yeah. So no.
All right. Well, it looks like we got another caller on the line here. Before we get to them, let's quickly jump to a luchador de Kansas City, and then we actually do have our brand new Warriors Heart champion as well. So, luchador, we're going to give you about 45 seconds here. Not trying to cut you short, but we got to get to the champ. So let's go ahead and bring you on, sir. Why don't you share your night, my friend? Luchador, you're live on the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Rene, man. What's up? You are live, sir.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. You hear me?
Yes, sir. You're there.
Okay, thank you, sir. We will get you one.
Anyway, as you know by now, Survivor Series has come and gone. My match with Theory turned out to be a dream for me, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted, though.
So
I'm still recovered from basically the ass beating I got for him.
Well, and Luchador, here's kind of what's a little disconcerting. I mean, Theory basically called his shot. He basically pulled a Babe Ruth, looked out to the outfield and said that he was going to hit a grand slam, and he did that. So I'm curious to know, he basically warned you. Was there a moment where you felt like maybe it would be better if you just stepped away from the match, or was that something that never came across your mind?
Well, it never came across my mind up until, next UFC War Games, and hell, I didn't want to chicken out the last two, but I had to show him that I wasn't scared of him, and I managed to come through with whatever I had to bring it to Theory, but obviously it didn't turn out the way I wanted. So, congrats to Theory. I know he's going to become Intercontinental Champion somewhere around the future.
All right, and so I guess my last question is, what is next for a luchador of Kansas City?
Well, right now, it's just going to be me enjoying some turkey and apple pie, and watching football on TV for Thanksgiving week. And I'll be in attendance at the NWL show this Saturday night in support of a good friend of mine that's trying to get his feet wet in the NWL, known as Kurt Gannon. I'm sure everybody knows him. I'm trying to make sure that he gets his name heard in the NWL for once.
Ain't no doubt about it. All right, Luchador, well, we appreciate you coming on the show, man. Always a loyal listener of the Wrestle Talk podcast and highly successful competitor in the world's greatest fantasy wrestling group, the FWWC. You have yourself a good night, man.
Yes. All right, thank you. Have a safe care, everybody.
Awesome.
Peace.
Man, absolutely love it, Luchador de Kansas City. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we most definitely saved the best for last. This young lady, this full-grown woman, did what very few have been able to do, and that is capture the top championship in our promotion. That is the Warriors Heart Championship. I don't really have any questions because I think we'd be better off just allowing our champion to make a statement, because that's basically what she did this weekend, Nightmare Jones. She made a statement that is still sending shockwaves through the FWWC universe. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow us to welcome in to for the very first time as your Warriors Heart champion, Allison Shea Atticus La Muerta. Well, good evening, Allison.
How are you?
Well, I get to talk to our brand new Warriors Heart champion, so I am doing fantastic.
Yes, it's about time I have something worthwhile.
Well,
I've been working towards this since I got recruited.
No doubt about it. I mean, and that's not a fluke. I mean, you said that the very first day that you walked in the door. Tell us, what did it take to capture the championship, and how do you feel?
Well, I don't think I've fully processed exactly that I've won. You know, I'm excited naturally, and it took more than one try. My last try wasn't so successful. Corbin Slater snatched it from me, so I can't be too upset about that though. He's a tough guy to beat. Now, obviously, I didn't get in the first night, pull over into the next night. He did not want to let it go.
No, you guys definitely went all the way down to the wire, and I got to tell you, you know, being a member of the board of directors and also a fan of the FWWC, I am extremely proud of you. So I'm curious, you said that you've been aiming to capture the Warriors Heart Championship since the day you stepped into the FC. What exactly does that championship mean to you?
Well, I mean, it's the top championship of the group. I wanted to make it all serious. And as a woman, I wanted to make history. I know I'm not the first to hold it, but I'm the first of this generation. I'm definitely going to make it look the best.
Well, hey, no arguing here. I mean, you're talking about going from a guy that rarely showers in Corbin Slater, and then you're talking about a guy who always wears a mask in El Mata Ratas. So there's no doubt that you will be by far our king Warriors Heart champion. There's no debating that.
Well, how flattering.
Allison, we're ready to get into our last guest of the night, a good friend of ours, Patrick Brandmeyer, who's basically a walking encyclopedia of professional wrestling. Let me ask you this very final question, totally unrelated to the FWWC. Enjoy Survivor Series, and what was your favorite match?
Absolutely. I thought every single match was 100%. My favorite one was probably the Usos versus the Bar, to be honest. But I personally love the Usos.
Same here. Love the Usos.
They have wonderful ring chemistry.
No doubt about it. Well, I guess I do love the Usos, but not as much as my wife does. She's a huge fan of the Usos. Maybe Twin too. I don't know what it is, but she loves those guys.
Twin power.
No doubt about it. All right. Well, Allison Shea Atticus, very, very happy for you capturing the Warriors Heart Championship. We're also very happy to officially joining the Steampunk Collective. We know that 2017 has been a great year for you, and then we also obviously know that 2018 will be an even better year for you. So if you have any final comments, why don't you jump on in and make your statement before we let you get on out of here tonight?
I have two, actually. The first one is anybody is welcome to come after my champion, but you will be selected. And the second one is that I have a surprise for everybody tonight. So stay tuned to the page after the podcast.
No, and I guess I'll say this as my final statement. We heard what you said on the FWWC Tonight podcast, sponsored by the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Rene. We know that you are not going to accept just anybody to compete against you for the Warriors Heart Championship. And we applaud you for that, because only the best get to challenge the champion for the top championship in the group. And we send you 100% on that. So best of luck moving forward. And for anybody who's wondering what the hell we've been talking about for the last 30 minutes or so, visit WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Slide on over to the FWWC segment and more information on the world's greatest fantasy wrestling group right there. Allison, have a great evening. The best of luck to you. And hopefully when we get to the Royal Rumble, you find some worthy competitors to challenge you for the Warriors Heart Championship.
Oh, I hope so.
Have a great night.
You too.
I said Thanksgiving, didn't I? I
did.
that freaking turkey, I swear, bro. As soon as I'm done with the show, going straight into the oven, I'm telling you right now. Well, Nightmare Jones, we have come to the end of the fantasy wrestling segment. Big Daddy P unavailable tonight for our standard prayer segment. But allow me to just make this quick comment. John Haas, Susan Haas, a.k.a. Licky, we want to send our prayers and condolences to you for the loss of your cousin earlier this week. We want to make sure that you guys know that we love you. We're very, very sorry for the unfortunate place for you and your family this week. You will be and have been in our prayers. And then also we want to send a very special shout out and virtual hug to our friend Leanna, who recently had moved into her grandparents' house, and just 3 days after moving in, the whole house catches on fire, and basically it was a complete loss. The only thing that she currently owns is the outfit that she was wearing that night in bed. More importantly, everybody made it out safe. Nobody was hurt, and she has started a GoFundMe to try to recuperate and recover all of those personal effects that she lost, stuff that she's been accumulating over roughly 25 years of life, all lost in this very unfortunate electrical fire incident. So we send our love and our condolences and our prayers to all of those folks during this difficult time. Hopefully you guys find a little bit of enjoyment tuning in to the Wrestle Talk podcast, watching us goof off and be silly for a couple of hours. Hopefully that can help you take your mind off of the difficult situation that you guys are going through. And then obviously we want to wish you guys a healthy and happy Thanksgiving. Man, I swear, bro. I'm trying to be serious for a minute, and that freaking turkey, I swear, it's driving me nuts today, Joe.
I understand. Well, here's the thing, Rene. We are close to our last guest of the night, but that also means that we are close to hearing this song once again.
Okay, so what you're saying is, wait a minute, so what you're saying is I have no chance against Patrick Brandmeyer when it comes to the trivia challenge, right? Because I think I've lost about 8 straight at this point.
Bro, it's Patrick Brandmeyer. The guy is like a wrestling genius. You might as well already call it a loss already. But I digress.
So what you're saying is it's going to be like me getting thrown off the top of the cage, right?
Maybe.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hit a little bit of music for you because my man deserves a proper introduction. Right after this, we're going to bring on our very special second hour guest of the evening, Patrick Brandmeyer. Intern Timmy, hit the music, baby.
Wayne's World.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome into the show for the very first time a man that is known for regularly wearing his trademark Wayne's World hat. Patrick Brandmeyer is known as one of the most knowledgeable individuals regarding St. Louis's independent wrestling scene for well over a decade. The man is legit a walking encyclopedia of professional wrestling, recent events, discussing stuff that's going on in the Midwest. And he's also stepped behind the microphone for promotions like High Risk Wrestling, Dynamo Pro Wrestling. The man legitimately is a wrestling junkie, and that's why we had to get him on the show. So without further ado, welcome the man himself, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Brandmeyer.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's a great pleasure to be with you tonight and just ready to talk some wrestling.
Awesome. Well, Patrick, thank you for making some time for us tonight, man. We know, sir, that this weekend was probably particularly busy for you with NXT TakeOver, Survivor Series, Raw, SmackDown, NXT tonight. I'm sure, there was quite a bit going on as far as what you were watching and the shows that you were attending. So let's go ahead and start off there. And I know I can pretty much cover it, and you'll have at least some educated thoughts on it. So first and foremost, your thoughts on the WWE's ability to run in the same building 4 consecutive nights. For people who like to slam the product, and there's a lot of people out there that have nothing but negative things to say, I got to get your thoughts on it, man. Do you think it's impressive that they can run the same venue 4 nights and basically sell out every single time?
Hey, if it works, might as well stick with it. I mean, there's a reason why they keep making money, and they're the most known wrestling promotion in the world. So that's the best way to look at it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I hear that a lot, that people complain about it who watch it. And I mean, I personally haven't been to a WWE show. Well, I went to a Raw last year, but I haven't been to a WWE show other than that in about 5 years. I still watch on television, but just my own personal preference. Let the people at the live events have fun. Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
Well, you're not the only one that has that sentiment, Patrick, because it seems as if though we're in the middle of a renaissance for wrestling as a whole, but particularly regional and independent wrestling. As far as Midwest/St. Louis wrestling goes, you seem to be somewhat of an authority on the topic. So I'm curious, why is it that having so much to choose from, you tend to lean more towards that independent wrestling, man? What is it about the indies that keeps you so engaged?
I think there's a little bit more of a connection with the local groups and the local talent. You have more of a chance to interact with them directly instead of being a high seat in the arena where you're watching from a distance. So I think there's a little bit more of a personal touch in that regard. Also, you tend to know the fans pretty well when you see them at shows or basis. So you make a lot of friends who are interested in the same stuff. I think those are 2 big factors in that regard.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's absolutely a great assessment. I think just being able to not that I would encourage anyone to do this during a show, but during intermission and after the show, just your ability to walk up to guys like Gary J, shake his hand, take a picture, get an autograph. I think that goes a long way, and I think that speaks to the conversation that we had with him a little bit earlier. He's just a guy who seems to have made that connection with his audience. I'm curious, as long as you've been around, who are some of the guys that stick out to you over that 10+ year period that you've seen in your area that just seem to have the it factor when it comes to connecting with the fans?
Well, one big example from when I started watching wrestling in 2000 is Matt Sydal. He's a guy who I saw early out of high school, just starting to wrestle, and he's always friendly with fans. And as he moved on in his career, he didn't forget where he came from. He came back to this area, wrestled on several occasions, and it's always cool to have a chance to chat with him when he's in town. And I count it as one of my personal coolest moments as a wrestling fan, that I saw him in those days wrestling in high school gyms and such in front of maybe only a handful of people. And then down the line, I got to see him walk out and make that a WrestleMania. So that's a very cool thing to see.
Absolutely, man. And I've had the pleasure of seeing Matt and Mike Sydal in action. So, man, both of them are definitely persons, and I don't think that'll ever change because just because of the genuine that they are. So real quick, recently, a gentleman by the name Dingo reappeared on the Being Gone for quite a few years. I know this is somebody you're particularly familiar with. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with Dingo in the past and maybe how you feel about him coming to the scene and recently having a match with Michael Strider?
I'm a big fan of Dingo personally. I first saw him back in 2000. He was a workhorse in the time that he competed consistently, and more importantly, he had a hand in training a lot of the guys that came out of this area during the early to mid 2000s. So he's a guy who's had a hand in a lot of the St. Louis wrestling scene over the years. And I know he had to take some time off for some injury issues, and I'm very happy to see him back. I know I've seen him in several different wars with Michael Strider, and from the sound of things, that feud isn't quite over yet.
Oh, man. Well, I got to make sure I make my way out into your area if indeed the match is going to happen in the Lou. And then if it happens in KC, then obviously it's going to be happening in my backyard. Well, Joe, I know you're anxious to get on here with Patrick. I know that you got an opportunity to meet him at the NaziCon show a little bit over a year ago for Dynamo. So why don't you jump on in here with any questions or comments you might have?
Absolutely. The first question I have to ask is, what is up with the Range World hat? Like, that is like your thing. How did that go about?
Well, I've always been a big comedy fan, and during that period of time, I watched Saturday Night Live pretty consistently, and that was one of the most popular skits. I got the hat, and at some point I started wearing it to shows, and it got to the point where everyone was commenting, "I love the hat, man, I love the hat." And so I kind of got into the habit of wearing it consistently. And nowadays it's to the point where if I don't wear the hat to a show, people will ask me, "Where's the hat? Why aren't you wearing the hat?" But
absolutely. Now, my second question is, what event has meant the most to you?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
I said, what event that you have been to or seen has meant the most to you?
Joe, it sounds like your audio's gotten a little choppy there. So why don't you see if you can sort that out? I think what Joe's question was, Patrick, was of all the events that you've been to, which has been, I mean, I know you're probably going to a show every weekend or every other weekend. Which one would you say has been the one that you've been impressed by the most?
Well, just this year I can talk about a couple of the different Glory Pro shows, particularly the one in Belleville that drew, 500, 600 people, I think the number was.
Crazy.
And just to see that many fans in that building, fans who traveled from all over the country to see that show, which not only had some big names from the national independent scene, names like Cody Rhodes, but it also had a lot of great talent from this area who got a chance to perform in front of that kind of an audience. So that's a personal favorite from recent memory. There have been quite a few GCW shows in the past. That was the most popular promotion in the early 2000s in this area. And there was a show in March of 2001, and the main event of that show was Rob Van Dam against Nova. And
oh, shit.
That was the only independent show Rob Van Dam worked between the end of the original ECW and signing with WWF. So it was a big deal. It was in a high school gym. The place was packed. It was just a great atmosphere to be a part of.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
I'm sorry?
I said, can you guys hear me better now?
Nah, Joe, it sounds like your audio's still a little choppy, man. Let's see if we can't get that sorted out for you. Technical difficulties being live and whatnot, it happens. Well, fortunately, I actually have a handful of questions for you, Patrick. So when you and I first met, you'd recently worked with a good friend of ours, Jeffrey Wilson. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, you'd actually done a little bit of commentary work with him. It sounds like that would be right in your wheelhouse, being a guy that's as knowledgeable as you are as professional wrestling. Can you talk to us a little bit about your experience doing ringside commentary, and whether or not that's something that you feel comfortable doing moving into the future?
Well, I've done commentary a couple of times recently for Dynamo Pro Wrestling. My connection to that really started back in the GCW days when I started doing commentary for them. It was something that kind of fell by the wayside for a few years. I called the action with Ben Simon for the first few high-risk wrestling shows, and I did commentary for a few months for Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling as well, alongside Drew Abbenhouse. So it's something where I feel like I'd probably fit the play-by-play role better than the color commentator, because it's more a case of kind of filling in the information, letting people know the backgrounds of the matches and the competitors. So I feel like that's the area where I would probably excel the best in that role.
That's cool. And I'm curious, man, do you have any commentators? Obviously, you're saying that the play-by-play is more your thing. Are there any guys that you look to in the past, or maybe even the present, that do that job that you say, hey, you know what, maybe I wouldn't necessarily imitate or try to pattern myself off that guy, but I do, respect his talent, and maybe you could take bits and pieces from what they do, guys that maybe you admire and look up to?
Oh, man, that could be people like a lot of different things about a lot of different commentators. I mean, the popular answer would be Jim Ross, a guy who brought the knowledge and also brought the enthusiasm. And I think that combination is important, because some of the guys we see on TV nowadays, sometimes the emotion almost sounds a little manufactured in some cases. So to be able to bring that genuine sense of enthusiasm to what you're doing is a good thing. And oddly enough, that's one thing I liked about Vince McMahon as a commentator, because he was very enthusiastic out there. He got you into it. I remember watching WrestleMania 10 and him selling everyone on the Bret Hart as this ultimate underdog in the final title match of the night. And of course, Bret Hart was one of my all-time favorites. So that's a particular WrestleMania that sticks with me. And Vince McMahon may not have been the most knowledgeable when it comes to the more technical aspects, but he could get you into a match. That's kind of a left field answer as far as commentators go, but it also helps that when you're the guy in charge, you know exactly what you want to sell.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, Patrick, I mean, a guy that's been in the business this long, has the thought ever crossed your mind about trying to maybe do your own thing and start your own promotion by any chance? Because maybe it's kind of a wild thing, but, for somebody that's got such a love and passion for it, I figured that might be something that maybe crossed your mind at least once before, right?
It has crossed my mind. I like to think that I'm not that insane yet. I think that, I've interacted with a lot of different wrestling personalities, particularly on the local scene, and it's a very difficult job. You can write all the fantasy booking online that you want, but when you're dealing with real people and real personalities, real egos, people who may or may not have something come up at the last minute forcing you to change your plans, that's a whole lot tougher to do. So that is something that I think I could do. As far as being involved in the wrestling business, I tried bumping in a ring one time. That is not for me either. I don't think I'll ever step in a ring. someone even joked that when GCW had their reunion show, I should have been in the Battle Royal. I would have stepped through the ropes, took a look around, said, nope, and just bailed over the top rope. That would have been it.
Probably one of the best moves you could have ever made, dude. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, let me ask you let me ask you this final question. With all the experience and the knowledge that you have, if there was something maybe that you could go back in time and change, whether it be back to the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, or even up to now, is there something that you would change in professional wrestling that you think would make it better if you could?
That's a tough call. I mean, in reality, I can really only speak for myself, what I like, what I would enjoy watching. And that's a pitfall that I see a lot of fans, especially online and on social media, make, that mistake what they want to see with what the greater audience wants to see, and they feel like their vision is the only correct one. And when there are a lot of different fans there, and each of them likes a different sort of thing, and that's the beauty of wrestling nowadays. There's a lot of different products. There's products that are more old school, more fast-paced, some family-friendly, some adult-oriented, and there's a lot of something for every type of fan. You just have to go out and find it, and I think that's a good way to look at things. And we're very fortunate in the St. Louis area that so many different groups have started up just in the past couple of years, and just about any weekend you can go out within about an hour's drive in the St. Louis area and you can go to a wrestling show, and for the most part, organizations that put on good shows. So that's something where if you're inclined to do that, to check out a show, then that's a great thing to do. It's affordable, average ticket price on $10 for your standard indie show. And people who have never been to an indie show, I just recommend to check out one just to see what it's like, to get a chance to experience that atmosphere and see what you think of it. And it's something that I think can really catch on with a lot of people who haven't experienced it before.
Well, no doubt about it. And to Gary J's point, who was on a little bit earlier, and by the way, he told us to say hello to you.
I am a big fan of Gary J. I followed his career for quite a while since he was a barn owl back in LWA. And one of my favorite stories is about Gary J., about a wrestling show we went to around the middle of Illinois. And the main event was a hardcore match, and there were chairs and tables flying everywhere. It made a real mess of the business. As soon as the main event got done, next thing I know, everyone's breaking down the ring faster than I've ever seen the ring broken down. Next thing I know, Gary J comes up to me and says, "Can I get a ride home from you, and can we leave right now?" It turned out the venue owner was so upset about the mess that they called the cops.
Holy crap. That's freaking awesome.
So I drove Gary J back home, and I think we saw at least one cop car on the way out of town, but that was a pretty crazy night at the time.
No doubt about it. Joe, do you got any thoughts for Patrick or a question before we get into the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge?
I just wanted to say thanks for coming on. I mean, it was a pleasure to be able to meet you at the Natsu Con, and I can't wait to get to meet you again.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Look forward to crossing paths with you guys again down the line. I haven't made it to the city yet. Hope to make it out there at some point. I remember about 10 years ago, the group that was running in Kansas City at the time had a show that was as close as I ever came to driving out there. And the reason I wanted to go was because the main event was Dingo against the guy by the name of AJ Styles. And it took doing to get hold of the video of that match. I wish I could have gone. I know a lot of St. Louis guys made the trip, but that was the closest I ever came to making it out to KC for a wrestling show.
Well, no doubt about it. All right, well, Patrick, we can't let you leave here without you first. And you said you'd never step in the ring again, but, since we got you on the phone, we're not going to leave you much of an option. We're going to have you step in the Wrestle Talk podcast ring for tonight's Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge. It is trivia, and it'll most likely be right up your wheelhouse if Luke Roberts and Joe Lance have anything to do with it. So are you down to take on the Night Owl for the very first time?
I'll give it my best shot, gentlemen.
Let's do it. Intern Timmy, hit the music, baby. Let's get into the game show challenge.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear me, tonight's Wrestle Talk Game Show Challenge is going to be featuring Patrick Brandmeyer and Rene Martinez. Gentlemen, with the honor of it being Thanksgiving Eve, tonight's category will be Thanksgiving Memories. All of tonight's answers will be connected to professional wrestling events held on or near Thanksgiving.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a couple hints, and all you have to do is shout out the answer, and whoever answers first gets a point. We're going to play to 3 points. Whoever gets 3 points or best 2 out of 3 wins and gets their very own special music and so forth. Does that sound pretty simple?
Hey, it sounds good. Sounds good to me, man. Let's do it.
Okay. Here's the first question. In 1983, the National Wrestling Alliance held its first Starrcade event from Richmond, Virginia. As part of the event, one of the most brutal dog collar matches in professional wrestling history was held. What late Scottish WWE Hall of Famer defeated Greg Valentine in this
Roddy
match?
Piper.
You would be correct, Rene.
Yes!
You would be correct.
Hey, the only reason I knew is because you said Scottish, dude. That's the only reason.
Awesome. Okay. Rene is up 1.
Oh, wait. Hey, wait a minute. Just because I want to make sure, Patrick, as soon as you know the answer, you got to shout it out. Are you clear on that?
Yep, I'm all ready. It seemed to be like a slight delay on the phone here, but I'll do my best.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I kind of got a reverb delay thing going on as well. Let's see if we can't make it work.
All right, so question number 2 is also at the inaugural Starrcade event. This 2-time Hall of Famer won his second NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
Ric Flair.
I kind of heard Brandon first. Patrick first, so we're gonna give that to Patrick. 1 to 1.
I was that close.
1.
Race in a cage match.
I know, man. Damn, that was close. All right. One more, baby. It's a tiebreaker.
Okay. Here's the last question. In 1987, the WWE held its first Survivor Series. This larger-than-life Frenchman was the sole survivor of the main event, eliminating Bam Bam Bigelow
Andre the Giant
to win the match. Andre the Giant. Rene says Andre the Giant. I really, really hate to do this, Rene, but it looks like Rene finally has broken his streak.
What? I won? Play my damn music, Nightmare Jones!
Oh, man.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it up. And every time I step up in the building, everybody has
And they say yeah. And they say yeah.
Well done, sir.
Wait! I actually won, and let me just say this, Patrick. I've lost to Savio Vega. I've lost to Tully Blanchard. I mean, I basically lost anybody, and I knew for certain that today I was going to lose. I don't know if it had anything to do with the technical issues. It's a very well could be. That's the only reason that I won. But let me tell you this, man. I would be honored if you would one day be willing to come back and do it with us all over again, my brother.
Definitely. We'll definitely do it again.
Oh, dude, that was so much fun, man. I really, really appreciate it, dude. You've been, you've been a blast, man. And let me tell you something. When you have a passion and a love for professional wrestling, the way that us guys do, and everybody that's tuning into the show, whether it be live right now or on the replay, it really creates like this brotherhood, this community. And
wait a minute, Rene. I actually have some breaking news. It seems that the feed was reviewed, and Patrick actually won. He actually answered that question first.
Oh.
So
what?
Man.
What kind of bull crap? Man, I'm telling you, you guys every single time set me up for failure. Nightmare Jones, Luke Roberts, intern Timmy, you got. You know what? All of y'all.
Next time, that way there's no doubt.
You guys are all officially under review. I'm telling y'all right now, Nightmare Jones, Luke Roberts. Really? The auto-tune crybaby? Really? You know what, man? The only thing that makes me feel better is that Thanksgiving is right around the corner. I'm going to be able to stuff my face, and there's no way that I can lose at that, because when it comes to stuffing my face, I am the best. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody has to say.
What you talking about? You ain't nothing but a jive-ass turkey.
Wait a minute, I'm a jive-ass turkey? No. You guys are a bunch of jive-ass turkeys, man. It's not even fair, man. I come in here, I bust my. You know what? You know what? You know what? Thanksgiving is gonna be amazing. Really? Now the turkey? The turkey wants to interrupt? You know what? I'm done. Patch you.
On the line.
Oh my god! No, I'm losing my damn mind over here. Well, listen. All shenanigans aside, Patrick, I hear you. I look up to you. I kind of see you as a mentor, man. You are dedicated to professional wrestling like few other fans are, and that's exactly what we're trying to exemplify here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, man. All we want to do is people understand that this is the best sport and form of entertainment that is available to people today, and not only fantastic, you have so many wonderful options from the indies to New Japan, ROH, WWE, Evolve, FIP, Lucha Underground, and guys like you, man, are what continue to make the sport get better and better every day, man. We cannot thank you enough for being a part of the show tonight.
Well, thank you for having me on, and my show count for the year is up to, I believe, 60 last I checked, and Saturday night will be number 61. I'll be going to Dynamo Pro Wrestling at Concordia Turner's Gym in St. Louis with Makazi defending against Brandon Aarons in a no disqualification match. And Makazi threw a fireball in Brandon Aaron's face last time around, so there was no telling what he'll try to pull this time.
No doubt about it. Well, there's one thing for sure. Makazi will stop at nothing to retain the prestigious Dynamo Pro Heavyweight Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Brandmeyer.
Peace. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, yeah, absolutely.
Joe,
Oh,
you guys
my goodness.
screwed me. Hit the music. I'm done. You know what? I'm done. You guys keep screwing me over, and I'm sick and tired of it. Luke Roberts, intern Timmy, Joe Nightmare Jones, you're all officially under review.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to finish it with this song.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Oh, my goodness. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess Rene has left, so Joe Lance, Rene Martinez, until next week.